So this is what we're recording right now, right here. So this is all you need?
That's it.
I don't need to do anything with my phone or anything.
That's it.
You sure?
Positive, 100%. People
Yeah,
don't tune in.
No bueno. Okay, am I close enough so
Yes.
the volume and everything is good?
Perfect. Okay, you can go ahead.
I take some deep breaths.
Okay. People gonna be watching, so come on.
Let me take deep breaths.
Whatever you want to do. Let's hear it.
Mr. Terry, it's nice to see you again.
Always.
After we met a week or so ago, of course I Googled you.
Yeah.
To see who you were, because you had a presence about you.
Yes.
And I was interested to find out about your Askalterrihenri deal, and
Yes.
actually I was kind of fascinated by it, and I wanted to sit you down and interview you.
Good.
Ask you a few questions of my own based on what I saw out there on the web. So I'm going to move around quite a bit just so it's not like there's not a flow, but I did jot down a few questions that I have for you.
Not a problem.
And so the next few minutes, I want to cover several facets of who Askalterrihenri is.
Okay.
And feel free to use this content for whatever you need to use it for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Poverty story. Most of us have them.
Okay.
Would you be open to sharing a little bit about yours?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
What you want to know?
Just give me like your 30-second, 45-second, 60-second elevator of how did you grow up? How was your childhood? Tell me about that.
My childhood was great. I mean, even though we were poor, my mom did the best she could to take care of us. You know, we grew up. I remember she used to fix a plate of food and pass it around, and we had to eat. You know, and sometimes we would see her not eating. You know, maybe the other brothers and sisters didn't pay attention to it, but I seen it. And sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom and see her crying over bills. Don't know how we're going to pay the bills or the lights, you know. But all in all, I can't cry about being poor as others because, as I say all the time, I never missed a meal. I mean, I've had a full meal, but we never missed a meal and the lights never got turned on. So mama hustled. You know, she was the cake lady, the cool cup lady. She sold plate lunches. She was an extreme hustler to take care of 8 kids with no dad. So
wow.
So
Single mom with eight
single mom.
8 kids.
8 kids, no dad.
How do you? I can't even begin to fathom 8 kids. I have one, and sometimes that's a lot. Do you remember what that felt like to be you at a young age, knowing your mom was struggling, or feeling the depth of what you were going through?
Yes. Matter of fact, I tell a lot of moms that you got to be careful not to cry and complain around your children because you affect their lives. I was a good child. I was a little young boy going to church and the whole 9 yards, but by seeing my mother struggle and go through what she went through, I used to always say that, you know, and I would tell her, and she didn't understand the brink of the force that was coming behind my thoughts, but I would tell her, I say, you know, that when I get big, you'll never have to work no more. And that's exactly what happened. When I got big, she didn't have to work because I started selling drugs and hustling and doing everything I could do, robbing, shooting, whatever. So it would affect your life. So I would say as a parent, you know, my kids never knew when I'm struggling, even as a man. They never knew. My wife never knew. Never knew.
I mean, that's important because the testament to being poor is when you are grown, you can look back and realize, oh, wow, we were poor, but at the time I didn't know it.
I didn't know.
So it's good. It's good. And speaking of your kids won't have a poverty story.
No.
And I'm sure you're very proud of that.
Yes. They can't never lie and say they have a poverty story. They've had the best of the best since day one, and still getting the best. They've never seen no poverty. The the story that they'll probably tell is my older two kids. My other three kids wasn't born yet, but my older two kids can tell the story of when I went to prison.
Hmm.
You know, but that's it. Poverty. Even when I was in prison, I left money, and they were able to survive and live in a big home and everything, even in prison.
Yeah, poverty hits different,
Yeah.
and a parent being in prison hits different
Yes.
when there's money to pay the bills and the
Yes.
mom's not worried about
Yes.
where the next meal is going to come from.
Yeah.
So, what do you and your wife do to ensure that the kids with no poverty story, lucky them,
Yes.
aren't what's the word? Feeling entitled.
What do we do to make
What do
sure?
you do to make sure they're not entitled little brats?
I mean, we take things from them. You know, my wife she's the queen of taking things. We take things from them. I even feel bad sometimes because I mean she'll take their phones indefinitely.
You try to sneak them back.
I'll try to sneak them back. You know, just because
You're soft.
it's sometimes you know it's my kids. So you know we take the now my son he kept getting in trouble. I bought him a Hellcat and he kept driving it and getting tickets. So I took it from him. But then I turned around and bought him a new truck. So you know, and he's been good. He's changed a lot in the whole 9 years. But we do take things from them. But ultimately we got great kids. Nobody's on drugs, never been. Nobody's been getting A's in school. I mean,
Nice.
when you got good kids, you know, I can't explain it, but when you got good kids, they're so good until I don't even see me when I was young in them. I see the good side of me now, but me being devious and doing things back then, how I came up, is not in them. So you take things from them, and that kind of, when you got a good child, when you take things from them, that kind of gets them back because they don't lose it.
And you kind of know that they're a good child when
Yes.
you take something from them and
Yes.
you yourself want to give it back to them.
Yes.
As opposed
Yes.
to like,
Yes.
I hope you suffer because you
Yeah.
messed
Little-
your life up or
little
whatever for
demon.
this. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, do you remember back when you first made any significant money?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
When was that? About how old were you?
23. I was 23 years old. I hate talking about it because it was illegal.
So, how'd
but-
you get that bag, as they say?
Got the bad. I was selling drugs, man. I started off selling drugs. I had moved my way up. The story's kind of long, but I moved my way up to 1,000 pounds of weed, and we would buy it from the valley for $50 at the time, because that was years ago. And we would get it up to Detroit, and if you can get it to Detroit, it was $1,200. So we started making a lot of money, like $100,000 at a time, maybe 2 weeks. And then weed was too bulky, so that's when I transitioned to the crack game, and then I seen money hand over fist. So at that time, it was a drug game. You know, crack, weed, pills. We cook ecstasy pills over the stove in a gumbo pot, and you freeze them, and then you stamp them on a stamper and make
Not a gumbo pot.
gumbo pot, ecstasy. You know, so we went in the field, the 55-gallon drum, and you cook up embalming fluid, you know, with a mask on. So there's a lot of things I did at that time, you know, that and beyond, credit cards, all kind of stuff, you know, that I did at that time that led me up to who I am now.
So this was Louisiana, right?
This was here,
Oh, so you were just in Houston, just thugging it out.
thugging it out, Greens Point Bomb. I was one of the first Valley boys, we were part of the clique. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you recall what that felt like when you first? Because money's not for everybody,
Yes.
but when you, and especially at 23, when you first got that big amount of money and you're looking at it like Scarface all over the counter or the bed or whatever you do when you get a big amount of money, you roll around in it, or did you roll around in it? Tell me you didn't roll around in
I
it.
took pictures with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was even though it was gotten, it was ill-gotten,
Yes.
so to speak. What did that feel like? Did it feel? You still felt good though, right?
I feel great now. When you're in the life, living a life of sin and crime, you never feel good. Don't let them lie to you. You never feel good. You're always looking over your shoulder. You got to remember, you have these guys out there, thugs as you call them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to kill you and rob you for what you have.
Yeah.
Then you have the police that want to bust you. Then you have the females that want to set you up. I mean, it's a never-ending story. So you never have peace. So now I'm peaceful with money because I have peace. So I wouldn't trade this for the world. You know, even though at that time I had a bunch of women and cars and all that, I made it look fun, but it was no peace. So you can have the money and you can feel like you have accomplished something and you got your mom in the house and you got the cars, but without peace you have nothing.
So that kind of goes back to the saying of all money's not good money.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, most of us don't have money
Yes.
that is of significance,
Mhm.
so we don't know that
Mhm.
what like big money feels like.
Yes.
So circling back to poverty,
Mhm.
would you say that that feeling that you described earlier was what your fuel was to pull you up by your bootstraps, that gave you the whole entered you into the drug game and all the things that happened because of that? Was that the incentive, I'll say?
No, I would tell anybody, you know, and I hope the people that's watching can understand what got me motivated and everything is being around those type of people. I don't care what you say, you'll never make money until you get around people who are making money. I was around some hustlers. These are some hustling Negroes, and they made money. And I can't even explain it. They was in every other kind of game you could think about. I mean, they wasn't just in my game. They was in every. I had a guy who was part of my church. He was he was a multi-millionaire, and he got busted eventually and did 7 years in prison. But he was in the insurance fraud game. You know, anybody who had an accident case, they would go to him and he'd pay him a little bit under the table and make. So he was a multi-millionaire from the insurance fraud game. I had another guy who was a multi-millionaire from the car game. He sold cars and rented cars. I mean, so I was surrounded by hustlers, and seeing them making money, it was obvious I got to get something.
Right.
You know, so it's like the old saying that said, if you want to be a millionaire, I don't know how you're going to just find a millionaire that's going to let you come around, but you got to surround yourself around millionaires. If you surround yourself with 2 millionaires, then you'll be the third one.
So the millionaires that you were surrounding yourself with at that time were millionaires of the hustle game, not the legit money-making game.
Because the millionaires of a legit game is not going to let illegal game be around.
What's the worst thing you experienced during that time period of when you're hanging out with the I mean, it's hard to believe that you were a thug at one point.
I know.
It's difficult to believe. So when I say, I kind of differentiate, like when you were hanging out with the other thugs.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing you saw? Because I still see you as an upstanding businessman. Not, I mean, everybody has a past, but.
Well, when they edit this video, my guy gonna edit it for Facebook and other social media sites. He's gonna put up some pictures of me when I had braids in my hair.
No, I
had
cannot
braids.
wait. I cannot wait.
And I had a mouthful of golds. All of them was gold. I had 8 at the top, diamond out, and 8 at the bottom. So I took all that out. So I was just.
I'm glad you don't still have them, because I can't talk to somebody with gold in their mouth.
Yeah.
I can't even say it right, but you know what I mean.
Yes. So it's basically, that was my life at the time. So, you know, and you surround yourself with people. Birds of a feather flock together. You know, millionaire guys like myself now. You know, it's funny because I sold all the drugs in the world, but now I hate drugs. You talk to me about drugs, I might report you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't like it because I destroyed a lot of lives. I mean, my uncles was on drugs and my cousins, and they were buying from me. So people at the church was on drugs and they were buying from me. So I messed up a lot of lives during that time of my life, and so I hate drugs. You know, I'm not saying I'm perfect and won't allow you to do other things, but drugs is not one. I think they put it out strategically for the black community to be destroyed. Now, it may have bled into other communities, but ultimately it was for the black community, so no.
Do you have speaking of that, do you have serious feelings of what your role was in the crack game back then affecting the black community?
Well,
Do you
no,
ever lose sleep out over that?
no. Only thing I lose sleep over is my brother getting killed. My brother got killed, being in the streets like I was, and he died in my arms. So
Wow.
for about 20 years of my life, I had nightmares or thinking about it. Because when you see your brother, somebody you love, and he was more than a brother to me, he was like a father figure.
Mm.
Because he was older than me, and so because we didn't have a dad, so when stuff like that happened, and then I had a cousin who got his brains blew out in his cap right next to me. So when you see stuff like that happening in your life, you know, you begin to take a different type of glimpse at life. And sometimes my wife, I make her laugh because she'll say, "Man, you act like you shell shocked," but sometimes we do have that PTSD and stuff from the streets. And you ain't got to go to the army.
Right.
Just growing up in this poverty-stricken life, you'll get it.
Okay,
So,
little Nino Brown.
no, man.
um, yeah, we're going to move right along from that.
Good.
Without going too deep, because I have it on good, reliable authority
Yes.
that there's an ebook and maybe an autobiography that are in the works.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
not too distant
Yes.
future.
Yes.
Can we pull back that curtain and take a quick peek? What are a few highlights of your journey to self-made millionaire row status that we can expect to read about?
We're gonna talk about my coming up, from poverty. We're gonna speak about a lot of that. We're gonna talk about the changes and how I begin to take dirty money and transform it into clean money. Because there's a lot of people out there right now that's stuck. They don't know what to do. They don't know. They just don't know how to change. I have cousins and family members that's still stuck. They're trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next. And no matter what I tell them and what I show them, they see it, but they don't know how. So I'm going to try to convert people. Matter of fact, do you want to tell them the title or not yet?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Maybe
okay.
not yet.
Because they would understand it more. But we're not going to tell them yet.
Later on, in a little bit.
Gotcha,
We'll leave them on
gotcha.
the edge of their seats
Gotcha.
for the title because it is pretty hard hitting.
Gotcha.
But let's give your listeners a little red meat today.
Okay.
Not well done.
Okay.
Medium.
Okay. Good.
Were there any strategies that you can share that you used to use or that you currently use to overcome the barriers that society has set up to keep the black man in his place?
I made it my business to find every angle that I could overcome the government. That's a whole nother subject, but the government has designed a system to destroy the black man. I could say the black woman too, but the black man specifically. They went as far as giving the black woman money and welfare and food stamp and everything just to keep the black man out of the house. And then going beyond that, locking us up for nothing. Half of us did time in prison. You see it now, getting out of prison, doing 20 years, they give you $1 million and think you're supposed to be happy. 20 years of your life gone. I could have made $100 million in that time. So I did everything in my power to find remedies around, loopholes, how I can help people with felonies obtain an apartment or a house, because it's sad. You gotta live, but if you have a felony, they won't rent to you. So now I did things to find a way around that, where you can do corporate leasing. You can lease a house through your company. If you don't want to lease it to your company, we can write and opt out of services for your background, because your background, you didn't give them permission to write anything about you. So we have to write to all of these underlining agencies that's out there. TransUnion have one, Equifax have one, Experian has one. You have so many. LexisNexis have one, and I can go on and on. But you have about 15 different agencies that actually report on your background. They're going to report if you wrote a bad check. They're going to report if you owe child support. They're going to report if you have a felony record. They're going to report if you have a misdemeanor record. They're going to report anything on you. So you have to opt out of these services. You have to write to them. And they want to keep you in bondage and chains so hard that sometimes you got to write to them 2 and 3 times. I'm doing something right now for a little brother of mine and other people, because I write to them and they pretend like they didn't get nothing, because you're supposed to get a response back.
Right.
So now I write to you again. Sometimes I write to them 3, 4 days in a row. That way they're gonna get a letter today, a letter tomorrow, a letter next day. And you gotta constantly write to them, let them know I did not give you permission, I opt out of your services. And eventually they won't be able to report on you. So when you go to get an apartment or anything, those things won't pop up. Your background won't pop up. So these are things I'm trying to show, along with a long list of others. They can go to my website, www.ask, A-S-K-Alterri, A-L-T-E-R-R-I, Henry, Henri.com, Askalterrihenri.com, and it's going to show you some of my services that we offer and the prices.
Okay, good deal. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Being from the South and of color, tell me about any discrimination besides what you just mentioned that you've come up against on your path to overwhelming success.
In Houston, I'm going backwards, but in Houston, you have a lot of cliques here. Not regular cliques, black cliques. So if you didn't go to school with them, or if you're not a part of their sorority or fraternity, or you wasn't raised in their neighborhood, and and somebody in the neighborhood then rose to power, it's almost impossible for you to get in.
That is so true. When I first moved here from Cali, I thought I was all that, which I kind of was. But I felt like my resume was the bomb.
Yes.
It was not being read. I'm like, don't they realize who I am?
Yes.
They didn't.
Yes.
Because I'm nobody.
Yes.
But Houston is definitely a who do you know type place. And if you don't know nobody,
Yes.
you're not going to get nowhere until you do
100%.
know somebody.
Yes.
Or you start your own business, or you do your own thing.
Yes. And even with that, to get government and state contracts, you have to know somebody. Otherwise,
Definitely.
you're not in the door. So Houston is like that. Louisiana is the same, if not worse.
The deeper you go, the deeper south you go.
Deeper south. I was really powerful in Louisiana. That's a whole nother story.
We'll get there.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the ebook. That's a book I would like to write about my 14 years in Louisiana, because I've seen everything. It's a really crooked place. I mean, I even had so much power there because I'm a young black man at the time.
In a red state.
In a red state, but I'm a millionaire. So that's unheard of. You know, we stand in a mansion, sitting on 3 acres. I knew everybody. I was close to the richest family billionaires there. Tillman Fertitta lived there in Lake Charles. So I'm close to the Drosses and the Lawtons, and these are all billionaire families in Lake Charles. People don't know how much power Lake Charles have. So I'm working and doing business closely with these families. And I remember a couple of times, I'll tell some short stories, but a secretary of mine caught 12 felony charges. 12. And based on who I knew, I made a phone call to them. They made a phone call to the DA's office, and they walked out the next day.
Good to know people.
Yeah. Another guy that was one of my supervisors, he went to his baby mama's birthday party, got into it with a bar friend, stabbed him, got us attempted murder charge. We got him off of that charge free and clear about a week later. So it's all about who you know.
Speaking of who you know, what's your take? Excuse me. What's your take on our current administration and our current economy? Have your businesses been heavily affected?
Extremely, but I patterned my life. This is crazy, but I hope the business owners that's listening to this online really take heed to this. The richer I get, the poorer I act. If that makes sense.
So keep a low profile.
Yeah, I don't spend as much now. It's crazy. When I was younger and wilding out and making money and doing stupid stuff, I was spending money hand over fist. We threw $3,000 barbecues and, you know, just crazy. But the more money you begin to make, the more conscientious you begin to become.
The tighter you hold on to it because you know what can happen to it.
Yes, so I don't spend money foolishly. We think about what we're gonna do. It's all calculated. It's a chess move now. So the more money you make, the more smarter you become. That's crazy. And otherwise you would end up like others. Now the problem I can't say about it is that the more money that I make, the more phone calls I get with people begging. Like people you don't even know.
The handout.
The handouts. So you
Yeah.
have to kind of become a cocoon and hide from people and don't answer the phone. And Seriously, it's crazy.
Darn, I don't get those calls.
Yeah, well, I mean, I woke up the other day with 17 calls, 17 texts from people that some I knew and some I didn't know wanted something from me. So that's the downfall of making money.
It's a heavy burden.
The heavy burden.
Heavy burden. To what's the saying? I'm gonna mess it up. To
whom much is given.
Yes, that one.
Much is required.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Good looking out.
Yes.
So, Mr. Henry, your upcoming ebook. Will you be sharing some ways the person reading it can possibly become a replica of yourself?
Yes, that's the plan. The plan is to try to replicate and duplicate the system. That's my hope.
Okay.
Now, will it actually happen? I don't know, because it takes a lot. I'm up sometimes at 5 in the morning. Sometimes I don't get home till 10, 12 at night. I have to stop myself because I make sure I have time for my children and my wife. Otherwise, I just go, and then next thing you know, you look up and months then pass by and now you don't have time. So people don't realize that when you're on the journey to success and money, you compromise and lose things. You have to have a balance. You have to have a balance, yes. So
we're gonna get to your balance in a second.
Yes, yes.
So this ebook, it's more than just an ebook. It sounds like a guidebook. So let me get a drum roll.
Yes.
What's the title?
You tell it. I read it, you tell it.
The title is going to be The Felon's Bible.
The Felon's Bible is what we're coming out with. It's the ebook. Y'all can look for it soon. It will be out. It will be out hopefully within 2 weeks. It's called The Felon's Bible. It's to help anybody with misdemeanors, felony records, anything, get past this government and all that stuff they're doing. They are making it now to where you have to make three. It's been 3 times the amount, but now they're starting to up it and ask for 4 times the amount. But they're going up on the rent.
Yeah.
So now you asking for now you got an apartment, a 1-bedroom, that's $1,500 a month, and you want this person, this regular person, even if they don't have a felony,
regular,
to make 4 times $1,500 a month. You want to make $6,000 a month. The average person don't make $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
So they can't even get an apartment. So our services, we're going to give them check stubs. We're going to give them company letters. We're going to approve them. So when the people call us, we're going to verify and validate that they work for the company, that they make that amount of money. Because I'm shutting down this thing where they're blocking out people. We're unblocking them.
That's so true. Last year, my daughter, she's 27 now, was looking at an apartment. It was a Greystone property in Katy.
Yes. And
she's self-employed. They literally, wanted her to show $50,000 parked in the bank.
Yes. They're doing that now to a lot of people. They're trying to keep us out of. See, remember back in the day, and I'm not being racist. This is just the truth. White people would move somewhere, and the uppity black people would move there too.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want them doing it anymore. It's not really the whites no more, though. It's not really the whites. Trust me. I talked to a lot of people. It's the Chinese and the Arabs and the Africans. They don't really want us in certain areas where their communities. So what they do is they are doing everything in their power to keep us out. Some of the places want you. I just helped a guy recently who they asked him for the last 3 check stubs. It was just normal. He gave them that, no problem. So they came back and said, well, we need the last 3 months. So they made him go from 3 weeks to 3 months. Then he gave him that because he paid me. I got him what he needed. We verified the job. That wasn't good enough. They asked him for 3 months bank statements. We got him that. That wasn't good enough. They asked him for.
So they were suspicious.
Constantly, because he was giving them everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, they had to give him the place. So he got the place, but he had to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop for absolutely no reason. So, so that's the problem with what's going on now. They're trying to keep us out. They want you to get discouraged and leave. Yeah.
So, finished story with my daughter. We ended up, because she didn't have, had I known that, we could have produced that. But finishing up the story, so we ended up producing tax returns. showing that she made the substantial amount of money
Yes.
to be able to move in and not a problem.
Let me give you a heads up. They got a lot of people in here, but I want to tell them and tell you something that you can do that nobody tell you.
Free game.
Free game. In order to move in an apartment complex, because we talking about an apartment, maybe a rental house may not work, but in an apartment complex, all you got to do is ask them if you can pay double rent, double deposit, and they'll let you in. 9 out of 10. I just did that with a girl in Florida and one in Alabama, and I talked to the people for them, and they didn't want to let them in, but I said, look, we're gonna pay double deposit. Say whatever your suspicion is, whatever, we're gonna pay double deposit. The deposit was number $350.
Yeah.
But we're gonna pay double deposit just so she can get in, and they got in. They let them both in. So sometimes you can get away with all the suspicion and stuff, because if you're willing to pay double deposit, that means you really want to be there.
Yeah.
And then they kind of let off the gas, you know.
Yeah, and you're less likely to screw up the situation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Double deposit. Let me write that down.
Yeah. Also, if you have money, because a lot of people calling me have money, you tell them you want to pay for the first 3 months or 6 months in advance. You'll never get turned down. You get an apartment complex, it's a year lease. You say, look, I want to move here. I want to pay for 6 months in advance. They won't even question you about holding nothing. You won't have to present
Money
nothing.
talks.
Money talks.
Money definitely talks.
So, you know, there's a lot of little things you can do to get around the system.
Back to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance all this? Because you have a lot of stuff in your head, and
Yes.
when I was looking at some of your videos, you do a lot of videos. You're like you're always with the welcome.
Yes.
Like, here we go, welcome. Let's get to the meat.
Yes.
How do you balance and manage your personal versus your professional business life? Because I would imagine, I don't have these problems, but I would imagine the millionaire lifestyle, keeping up with that is tedious, time consuming, stressful. How do you manage that?
It's actually not.
Oh,
Believe it or not,
because you have money.
the
money.
poor lifestyle is more stressful.
It is more hard to be
It's
poor.
more stressful.
Okay.
Yes. The more money you get and you acquire, it's easier. The only thing you have to manage is time. You got to remember, when you're poor, you're swapping money for time.
Right.
When you're rich, you're swapping time for money. Now you're trying to find ways to make more time to do things. Versus when you're poor, you're constantly doing things, so you don't have time. If you're working,
That makes sense.
you got a lot of poor people that's lazy, so they're not working, so they have plenty of time on their
And
hands.
that's why they're poor, because you're lazy.
Bingo. So there's an old saying that says, what he said, if you have too much time, you ain't got no money, and if you got a bunch of money, then you ain't got no time. So it's kind of
That
like
makes
this, yeah.
When was your last vacation?
A year and a half ago, but only because of my baby. We had a baby.
Oh,
So-
congratulations.
Thank you. So that's why. But a year and a half, no, 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years ago, we went to Universal Studios in Florida and Disneyland, all that
Oh,
stuff.
you took kids.
Yeah, every vacation I do is always a kid vacation. Like we do family.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, we do family.
Bless your heart. I'm thinking Miami. I'm thinking
No.
the islands.
No, I'm a more of a
You're a family person.
I'm a
You
family.
have, how many kids do you have?
5.
How many kids do you have?
5.
FIVE 5.
FIVE
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, yes.
In 2023, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Yes,
children.
Children, yeah. So
That's a lot.
that's a whole lot. So I'm a family person, so everything I do is going to be catered around family. And I do have friends that want to do things and go places, but I don't know. I enjoy being around my family more.
That's special.
Yeah,
That's special.
yeah. They bring me peace.
Aw, that's sweet. So for someone out there who isn't very familiar with you, tell us about your various streams of income. A few of them, not all 800 of them, but
No,
just
no.
a few.
No, we lift and level houses, so I have a foundation company. We do house foundations. I move houses, so we have the trucks and trailers and everything to pick the house up and move the house. So we move houses, we lift slab foundations. I own a moving company, so if people that want to move their furniture, I have people that go in and out. My 18-year-old son actually kind of runs that company.
Nice.
Yeah, we got him started and he runs the company. So We move places. We have restaurants, food trucks, and a food truck repair business. So if you look up Texas Food Truck Repair, we actually build food trucks. So we have that, and a plethora of other things. Sell cars. So we'll call out Mr. Lord in Lake Charles. Um, the list goes on and on. But it's basically, I tell people all the time. I told a young man today, stop worrying about getting this 7 streams. The internet don't do nothing but a lot of people.
Yeah.
You don't need 7 streams of nothing. You need one good stream, and you'll make all the money you want to make. I had 7 businesses. I had 12. This is crazy, but years ago, I was in Lafayette, and I had how many businesses? I had 8 businesses, and I was doing about $600,000-$700,000 a year. Mm-hmm. My wife said, you need to stop that and find one.
Yeah.
I did the moving company, focused on it, and did 1.7 million that year. And I let everything else go.
Always listen to women.
I wouldn't say that, but I can agree with that.
We just know what's up.
Well, especially for your mate, because you know so much about them. If you with somebody, you with somebody, you know what triggers them, you know what's bothering them, in their sleep, if they can't sleep, like you're watching their movements. Like I know her. And so with that being said, you can kind of guide them, even though they may not want to listen, you can kind of guide them for the best because you want the best for them and you know what's affecting them.
Yeah, and eventually, one thing I do wish that men would do would listen to their woman the first time.
Yeah.
So, because usually we know because we have been watching.
Yes.
So instead of saying, "Oh, woman, you don't know," or whatever a man says to a woman about not knowing, instead of doing all that and doing all that stuff, and you already know you're going to listen. So just listen the first time. It'll save you a lot of headache and heartache, and she won't be sucking her teeth. She won't be sighing. She won't be like, "I wish this." Fill in the blank would listen to what I am saying because I know better than he does. Because usually we know you better than you know yourself on certain things.
Well, you need a lot of prayer too. I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of times, I wasn't always a prayer book and a pastor and all that like I am now. I was a bad boy, and my wife was with me at the time. And I'm gonna tell you something.
Not
she would do.
you, a bad boy.
I was a bad boy. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you this. What she used to do, and I remember, I would be sitting on the couch and I'm mad because something didn't happen in the streets or whatever, and I'm mad, and so she would try to talk to me, and I'd be like, "Look, I don't feel like doing all that talking. I'm home, but I'm at the time when I don't want to talk." So she just come behind me and just lay hands on me and just say, "God, I thank you for my husband. Bless him. Anoint whatever he's going through. Ease the pain." So a lot of prayer. Mm-hmm. Y'all women, the Bible says that y'all women are designed to sanctify the husband. Mm-hmm. So every problem we have, God has instilled in y'all to fix it. Every problem.
I mean, that's what I just said. Kind of, sort of, not to take the words out of God's mouth, but that is kind of what I said.
Now, I'm not saying that y'all right about everything, but
come on, how many times? Hold on.
Yes,
since you want to put that caveat, you guys aren't right about everything.
Yes.
How many times in the last? How long have you been married?
20 years.
In the last 20 years, has your wife been wrong? Not like. Yeah. Okay, I should have put gas in the car instead of doing it in the morning. Not like that, but on stuff that she laid hands on you about.
Yeah. Maybe once or twice.
See, 20 years, that's...
20 years, yeah.
How many times have you been wrong?
1,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, on 7/20/2023, we have it from this young man's mouth that women are much smarter than men. Not that he said that or would ever admit that.
No, I wouldn't say you're smarter. I just say y'all are more nurturing. Y'all have that God put it in y'all to nurture them. Okay. I got you.
If she's been wrong twice to your thousands.
Yes. But she's a praying woman. She ain't no thought. She ain't like these women you got today.
Sure.
Yeah, like yourself. You're a business lady. All these things. You got your podcast. Like, she's not one of them. So she, it's different when you got today's type women. Mm-hmm. They're a different type of woman than those type of women.
Your charger But we're almost done though. So I've seen quite a few of your Askalterrihenri videos. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes.
And the community that you put quite a bit of focus on seems to, and what your ebook is going to be focusing on initially is the previously incarcerated.
Yes.
And getting them back on track. And now I find out is because you were previously incarcerated. So you know firsthand. A lot of people put stuff out there thinking that, okay, it's the next big thing.
Yes. Yes.
But you know firsthand the trials and tribulations of the previously incarcerated getting back on their feet. I would imagine, based on what your story was or what I heard this evening, about you had money when you did go into the system.
Yes.
So did that make it a lot easier when you came out of the system? And did you experience some of the hardships, like not being able to get a place to live or not being able to get a job?
No.
Okay.
It's different. Like I said earlier, it's different when you got money and don't have money.
Yeah.
No matter what you go through in life, if you got money, your advice or your take on it is going to be completely different. I went in with money and came out with money. So, I was in prison and my wife was still taking care of my mom and buying her clothes. So, and paying her bills. So it's a different take when you have money. That's all I can say about that. But I did see the full brunt of the effect on my people from being behind bars and seeing how everything was unfolding before my eyes. I seen it all. And when I got out, I seen how they set you up. My brother, matter of fact, went to prison and for some things that he did, may or may not have done. And I was out of prison at that time, but he got out of prison and they gave him 45 days to find a job and a place to stay, or he was going to go back to prison.
I don't know if I could find a job in 45 days and a place to stay if I was like starting from zero.
If he didn't have me, he would have been back locked up. So this is something that's major out there. They are giving people time restraints on finding. First of all, you can't find a place to stay with a felony or misdemeanor. So how am I going to find a place to stay? But it's all a trap. It's all a part of the system to keep you locked up so the government can keep making money off of you and the whole 9 yards. So that's one problem. Now you done put a double whammy on me. Now not only do I have to find a place to stay in 45 days, but I have to also have a job. That's another problem. Nobody want to hire you. Even McDonald's now don't want to hire felons. So where am I supposed to work? That's not even enough time to get a trade.
That makes you enough money to be able to support yourself and if you have a family that you're coming out to.
And I need 4 times the rent.
Or more.
Or
Or $50-some thousand in the bank.
Yeah. So it's all a trap, and so it just really hurts my heart. So that's why I'm on this mission to help the people, the lower and the poor income people, get around the system.
So when you give the list of the things that people need to be able to get housing, your basic housing, the 3 times the rent, the verification of employment, not asking you what that's going to cost somebody, but how do you make that possible or easy enough for people to find you?
It's all on the website.
Okay.
It's all on the website, www.askalterrihenri.com. It's all on the website. My PR guy told me that he set it up to where you got to pay to talk to me. And I had to let him do his thing because I want to help so many people. I was talking to people all day long. When I first got online, people just called me, and I love to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I was just helping them all day long. But because of business and because we're getting so busy now with the people calling and needing help, we had to make it a business. We had to turn it into a business, meaning that you got to pay for a consultation. And based on the consultation, I can help you with your life based on that. I can help you. It's not a problem that I can't help you. The problem is that how much help do you need, and do you have the money to pay for the help?
Yeah, 100%. as long as you have the answers to those questions that the prospective landlord is asking, do you have three times the rent? Do you have paycheck stubs? Do you have tax returns if need be? Do you have whatever they're asking for? As long as you can come up with that, yeah, you can get housing, and you're not as ostracized as if you are just walking in as a felon, unable to answer those questions and be able to get housing.
Well, not just that, but nowadays, I mean, to get around a lot of things quickly, because so many people are calling that needs to be in the house quickly. I don't have a month or 2 months to fix my background. So, you know, you get to a CPN, and now they want the actual Social Security card for that CPN, because just telling me your Social Security number is not good enough. They want the actual card. So these are services that we are offering, and of course, I do say entertainment purposes only. You know, but
no, I think that for example purposes only, like this is an example of what you're going to need.
Yes, yes.
And then when we talk to you, we can go further on more examples of what you're going to need.
Bingo.
So for example purposes only,
yes.
And I mean, because this is not entertaining.
Yes.
You're not. We can entertain you when you move into your spot and you have your first little housewarming party.
Exactly.
Great. So you're kind of like a gift to the people that you're going to the people you have encountered and the people you will be encountering, because that's amazing to be able to do.
I call it Robin Hood. They don't. Most of the people
Big
online.
Black Robin Hood.
Black Robin Hood.
Yes.
They'll never get the chance to be around the many millionaires that I'm around.
Right.
I'm around people. I got a young guy. I want to interview him one day. Obi is his name, but he's 21 years old and he's worth $7 million.
Wow.
And all he does is trade money. He's a hedge fund guy. He's a day trader. And so I'm around all of these type of guys on a daily basis. So I learn from them. And the difference between me and them is they don't tell the people what I tell the people for free online.
Yeah, they're more gatekeeping.
They're more gatekeeping. They keep their secrets to themselves. For me, I'm kind of like the Robin Hood. I learn from the rich and bring it to the poor. And hopefully the poor, I know it's impossible for everybody to become rich or everybody to, but at least I can help you get past the hump.
Yeah.
And that's my ultimate goal. I mean, I can make you rich, but if I can get you a place to stay and a decent job, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and one of the bottom lines is that far too many of our people don't know or understand or have never heard is it's so much easier to get in the door with a business card instead of a resume.
Yes.
I've been self-employed since 2007 and only literally one time have been asked for a resume. And it's amazing how much trust people think that just because you own a business and have that business card or whatever they're doing these days with electronic business cards, that you're credible. I mean, I am credible, but the faith people put in that you have a business, regardless of what your background is. Fortunately, I don't have a background like some people do, but if I did have a background and I still do what I do, it would not have affected me at all in the last 13, 14, 15 years. Well, which is amazing to me.
Well, what's funny is, and I know we're closing, this is going to be a series. I didn't want to tell the people, but this is a series. So not only is it going to be the felony Bible, but it's also the business Bible and other things, you know. So you got the business Bible, you got the felony Bible. You know, it's other things. I don't want to go too deep and tell them because it's too. I'm putting the horse before the cart.
So you don't tell somebody you're pregnant before the second trimester.
Exactly. But I wanted to share that with them, at least that one, because we're also going to have other ebooks where it explains business. Because just because you have a business card doesn't mean you own a business.
Right.
I fuss with people all day long that calling me. I own a business. I own this.
Or I'm the CEO of.
Yeah. What tax bracket are you in? They can't tell me. Well, what's your comp controller's number? They don't have one. Do you have full coverage insurance? They don't have that. Do you have workers' comp? They don't have that. Not realizing that one false move can end your home company. I can walk in your door and fall down and crack my knee or my vertebrae, and you in trouble.
And a lot of times, business insurance is really not that expensive depending on what you do.
It's not.
And it's just like car insurance. It's helpful to have just in case.
Yes.
So, also we talked before about some other upcoming interviews. So I know that you wanted to, after, I don't know if I should say his name out loud because I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuels.
Okay.
But and I'm not saying that you are a fan, but
I am.
I didn't say that, y'all. So we did want to talk about women and high value men because
Okay.
you know firsthand
Mm-hmm.
high value men and the women that they admire or the women that they are accepting of. Unlike and your take when I talked to you about it a while back, your take was a little bit different than his.
Way different.
Yeah. So even though you were a fan, and I did appreciate some of the things that he said.
But I
Your
don't
take
want to
was
say
different.
a fan. I say I admire the brother because he stepped out.
He opened up the can of worms.
He opened up the can of
Pandora's
worms.
box, if
Yes.
you will.
Yes. So I admire him for that. I'm not a fan of nobody.
Okay.
I'm probably only a fan of Jesus Christ. That's
Okay.
it. But as far as regular people, I admire them and what they do. But to answer your question, that's a whole nother podcast. We'll take an hour or so for the do. But no.
And the phone's going to be charged.
Oh, it's gonna be charged, and we want to take calls. We want to
Oh,
take calls
wow.
on it. Yeah, we want to take calls because this is gonna be crazy.
Oh,
But
snap, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah. So, but when you start talking about high value men, it depends on. That's what me and his take was different on. What is high value? Because I know rich guys now that's passing away and not leaving their children or wives anything because they didn't have it set up or structured right or whatever, and they leave them to fight over it. Where I know grandfathers, I always say go back to the old people who didn't make the money. They worked the fields and
Yeah.
picked cotton or whatever, but yet they left their wives and children homes and land, which
Absolutely.
we still have today. So it depends on what you take of a high value woman is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, high value man is. So, every man is different. Some men
Yeah.
like skinny women, some men like big women. So where I disagreed with the brother is he had a certain class. He would ask you what's your waist size.
Yeah, and he didn't veer from that. Which,
It is different. Yeah. And that's not true because in Louisiana or Haiti or Africa, they like big women.
Right.
And these are multi-millionaire brothers. Versus somewhere else they may like small women or light skinned or dark skinned.
And he moved to Africa.
Yeah.
Where I'm more appreciated.
Yeah, so it's like you can't put that would take a long time to break down, and I could break down my own personal self, what I like about being who I am and the type of woman that I would have if I wasn't married, because of people will look at me and be like, I want a man like that. Well, do you? Because a high value man comes with a whole lot of high value problems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a whole lot.
Yeah, when you went through, I heard you talking to someone and you went through the list of all the things that if you were single, your prospective mate
Yes.
would require.
Yeah, I mean it would be astronomical.
I'd be sitting out in the car.
Bingo. Because I don't eat leftovers.
I'm going to eat a leftover and I'm going to drink.
That's what I'm saying. So
And I'm going to cuss.
Exactly. So I wouldn't want no cussing. I wouldn't want no drinking. And to each his own. You have some
Yeah.
men. You have some rich guys that sit around and smoke cigars and all that.
Yeah.
I don't allow smoking. I don't allow pets in my house. So if the woman have
You said pets?
pets. These women they want these little dogs.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't believe animals belong in the house. So.
Oh my God.
So it depends on.
Sorry, audience.
Exactly.
He said no pets. I didn't.
No pets. So they want these little French poodles cost $5,000. First of all, I'm not buying you no dog for $5,000 when you can get one for free from the pound.
Yeah.
And then second of all, you're not bringing it in my house. So to each his own. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So I can only give you my take on what I desire.
We're gonna go.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. We're gonna go deep into those
Yes.
requirements as we're
Yes.
gonna expound on them greatly because I need to know more. Where are the high value men that will allow a big boned, light skinned girl that drinks, smokes, cusses? My child's groaning at the house. Where are they at? But we're gonna get into those.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And another thing that you have kind of just like brushed up against was the child support system.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, I don't know what he's about to say. I may or may not agree with what he
Yes.
has to say, but I do feel like the child support system is flawed. I don't know what your story is, and I'm sorry if you've had problems, but men have a different take. I have heard men that I've cited with their experience and felt that it was very unfair. But you know, it'll be from a man's point of view, so that should be interesting as well.
Well, whenever that time comes, that would be
a little brief.
That would be a whole other podcast, because not just a podcast, but since you bringing it out of me, it'd be called the child support Bible. That's so
gang of Bibles up in here.
Gang of Bibles. One Bible is like Megatron, but it's going to be a child support Bible where it breaks down for women and men. I can't leave the women out. It's going to break down for the men how to beat the child support system, and it's going to break down for the women how to gain from the child support system.
Okay.
So
now, when you say beat the child support system, you don't mean like not pay any child support. If the child is yours and you're...
if the shoe fit, you just gotta wear it. But all I can say is, I always go scripture with it. The Bible says that a man that don't take care of his child is less than an infidel, meaning that he ain't even worthy to be serving God if he don't take care of his children. So I believe strongly in taking care of your kids. But I put that out there because a lot of women are not taking care of the kids. But
there are a lot of different ways to take care of your kids other than writing a check.
Yeah, they spend time with their boyfriends and drugs and everything else, and the kids is dirty. And so, but you want me to pay child support, and while you blow it on something else. So, I have a buddy of mine, I won't call his name because this is all over the internet, but he was paying $800 and some worth of child support. And I helped him, like I can help the people online. I helped him get it from $850 down to $219 in 3 months. So
I mean, I'm thinking of my daughter growing up. Yeah, I didn't need a check for $850 to help raise her, but I don't know if $219 would be adequate.
Well, let me explain something to you.
Depending on what
my kids, I can't. It's not personal for me, so I want to put that out there for the women and the men. It's nothing personal for me because I have a wife of 20 years and 5 children, so I can care less about what you're going through with child support. That's your problem. I'm just showing you how to beat it because the system
of who you laid down with is what you're saying.
Bingo.
I agree.
I'm showing you a remedy and a method of how to beat it, and that's all I'm doing now. It's up to you to take it and run with it. I'm just giving you the remedy. So, but as far as myself, I take care of my children, and I do agree. It costs a lot of money. My kids probably spend $600 a week in food. That's a week, not a month. Where my mom used to get food stamp and spend $600 a month. But you got to remember, my mom, we were poor, so we had 4 and 5 baskets worth of food, and we coming through Walmart's checkout line with 4 or 5 baskets worth of junk. Cereal, milk, cheese, all these things. Well, we don't eat that. We eat healthy. We don't eat no dairy products. We don't eat no red meat, no beef meat, no pork. So we eating.
I couldn't live in your house. I didn't want to visit.
We eating healthy products, and so healthy products. You got one basket with $600 in it, and it ain't full. So it's a big difference. So so I if the mother is going to truly take care of the child and buy healthy food for him, then the man should pay for it. I understand that. So that's another. We'll touch on that when we get to the child support Bible.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Yes.
gonna be ready with
Yes.
some stats and facts and
Yes.
maybe even a guest single mom.
Bring
I don't
them.
know.
Bring them on.
Maybe I'll be the single mom guest.
Yes.
but I probably don't want to go there. Well, Mr. Henry, I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you this evening. We've come to the conclusion that you would be open to a few more interviews when you're closer to your ebook launch, the Felon's Bible and these other Bibles that you'll be putting together.
Yes.
Because I'm sure your viewers are interested in getting their hands on some copies and knowing more.
Yes.
Anything in closing?
Nothing. We just want to make sure that it comes out in a timely manner and that it's actually affordable. I don't want nothing expensive because like I said, my goal is to help people. So
Yeah.
we're not gonna have hundreds and thousands of dollars of ebooks.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
We're putting out several ebooks and to help the people, fully knowledge, so you can gain knowledge, and it's gonna be at a reasonable price. I don't know, $19.99, $20, something reasonable. I don't know. This is my first ebook, so I don't know how it works and the price. If any one of you all know about ebooks and y'all can share something with us, then hey, I'm all ears. Just like I help you, help me.
Yeah. So
But
more people you can help, and more people
amen.
will help you.
Because I want to get it out there to the world, and I got the platform and the clientele. I want it as professional as possible. So yeah, we thank you.
Thank you so much for carving out the time. I'm
Yes.
sure your schedule is busier than some of ours. And again, y'all, sorry about the technical difficulties. It was not my fault.
Yes.
Because I'm the woman, and I would have told him,
Yes.
charge your phone.
Charge your phone.
Charge your phone. Charge
Thank you.
the phone. Thank you very much, and we will see you again.
Excellent.